Well, I called this video "The Day I Nearly Got Conned." Now, this is part of my buying a property in Spain where I always go on about research, guys. Now, this happened a long time ago, but I think it's still worth telling, especially at the moment with the COVID and the Brexit as well. There's going to be people out there that would be quite happy to take money off you. So, just a word of warning. Play it safe, guys. As always, anything to do with money, always seek legal advice. Okay, just a quick sec. For those people that are after the t-shirt, especially the Expat Mazaron subscribers t-shirt, I'll bring on my model now.
Good evening.
This will be the t-shirt that you can get, guys. Now, if you want a t-shirt, if you look below the video, in the description, there'll be a link there. I'm off again. See ya. So if this is your first time visiting my channel, my name's Sean. I've been living out in Spain now for nearly 5 years. Also, I'm in the southeast of Spain, the Costa Calida, the Murcia region, just outside the lovely town of Mazaron. Big urbanisation called Camposol. I'm going to state straight away, I love it here. But you've got to be careful, guys. You've got to do your research and don't rush into doing anything. I know the Brexit's coming up. I think a lot of people have lost their chance now, but I know people have been contacting me. They're looking at coming to Spain in the next 2 or 3 years' time. So do your research. So I'm going to give you a bit of a history, how long this was ago. So we're talking back 2008. Now my folks moved out to Spain in the Malaga region, which is the Costa del Sol, which is right down at the south of Spain, sort of late 70s. But I didn't actually go out visiting them until about 2008. And this is when I sort of fell in love with Spain. And yes, it was the weather. I just loved the climate. I loved the people. So we started thinking about buying a property. But during that period, Spain was probably one of the most fastest places in the world at the time for its economy. They were building all over the place. And if you see my abandoned videos, you can see why. There are a lot of places like that. Anyway, what it come to is we just couldn't see how we could afford to buy a villa. Now obviously at the time we were still looking down at the south. The south's probably one of the most expensive areas anyway, so we thought we couldn't afford to buy a villa, so maybe we start looking at a mobile home. There were lots of mobile home parks in the south. Now where we lived in Dorset, just across the border, was Hampshire. Now every summertime at Bewley they hold a mobile home show for the weekend, so we popped over there and we saw a guy that was actually selling homes in Spain where you could rent them out, and in France. The company was called the Breakaway Homes. It looked fully legit. The guy was ever so nice. He'd give us all the information, no pushing us. Now they did do cheap weekend trips over. I think they were like 60 quid if that. We said we weren't interested in that because we've got my folks living over there. Is it all right if we later in the year that we'd come over? Like, yeah, no problem, which was all good. So we did that. Later in 2008 we went over to visit my folks, and then we met up with the sales lady, ever so nice lady, no pushing us. She showed us around some of the parks. Now what it was with Breakaway Homes, that they were agents, didn't actually own the parks or nothing. So when we looked at the parks and we actually met some of the people, ever so nice. We looked at some of the mobile homes. Well, yeah, we were interested. I mean, what we liked about it was we could buy a brand new home from the UK. I think one of them we was looking at was Bluebird. Now that company's gone as well now. They could ship it over, 80,000 euros, far cheaper there in Spain, and that was fixing it all up. So we was interested. So in 2009 we went out again. We went out with another salesperson, ever so nice, picked us up in a minibus, took us around some of the places. What sold it to us then was they were starting up a new site. We went to this place in the middle of nowhere. They were just levelling it off, putting the levels out. They were marking the plots out. They was building a clubhouse. You could see that going on. There was a mobile home display unit there, so we could get an idea of the view. All they were asking at that period was 500 euros to secure your plot, and that didn't mean that you could buy it straight away. You could we told them our predicament. We couldn't afford to buy the place yet until 2 or 3 years time. Well, they said, well, the site's going to take about that long to be fully established, so they were quite happy to hold the plot for you, take your €500, and then obviously when you're ready to give them the final payments. Now, I was still a little bit weary, even though there was no pushing this, nothing like that. So we went back to the UK. I went on the site, everything was looking good. I think it been about a month, and then suddenly the site just disappeared off the net. I did a bit more research, and I found a new company which was called Europarks Group. Now, don't mix it up with Europarks. One was called Europarks Group. Now that site's gone now. I went on there, and it's exactly the same layout. Now, what I didn't know at the time is that the guy was obviously had closed that company down, set up a new company, did a bit more research on the internet. Now, BBC had a TV program called Inside Out South, and that's where they used to go around investigating people that had problems. Funny enough, Breakaway Homes was one of them, and it was interesting to watch the video about some people. They used to pay him. Now, officially, he was supposed to pass the money on to the owners on the sites in Spain, where he didn't. He was pocketing in it. There was a lady there that took early retirement as a nurse, so she gave her all her pension savings, never got none of the money back. Now, the guy had a villa in Spain, obviously had a place in the UK. He set up a new group. They couldn't touch him. I don't understand the law side of all this. Now, his excuse was, obviously, at that period in 2008-9, things were getting high. He was just saying that the costs were too much. But thankfully, I didn't pay that €500 deposit. Now, that doesn't sound much, but on that site that we was looking at, I'm going to put up some photographs just to give you an idea what we were looking at. It sold us to us. The view was amazing. Now, obviously, my dad kept on to me saying about, well, what happens if you injure yourself? What about your health? Where are you going to get your food from? They were all sort of put at the back of my head, because I just thought, no, this is where I want to live. But after what I'd seen, you know, I thought, God, this is a bit of a con. And I wondered how many other people would have paid the €500 deposits. That would have been a night. If it was, I think on that site it was over 100 plots. So that's quite a bit of money. Anyway, so we backed out. I mean, thankfully we didn't pay no money, so we weren't tied into nothing. And then my dad was keeping an eye on it, I think 2010-11. He said all work had stopped there. They stopped building the clubhouse. No more work going on. And I've done a sat-nav of it recently. Now, there was some holiday homes a bit further down, which looks like they never got finished. And so, obviously, if I'd gone down to the south, that would have been one of my other abandoned places. So the whole thing of this story I'm telling you guys is be so careful. Yep, I nearly got conned. So do your research. Hope this giving you some idea about not rushing. That's what I'm trying to put across to you guys. Don't rush it. Do your research. I know it's not easy if you see a place you love, or you see a place on the internet and you know you can't come over, obviously with the restrictions at the moment. But don't please go and buy something and you end up losing your money. And as you can see today, not every day in Spain is a sunny day. Now we've got a storm coming in. So I'm going to finish this video now, but yeah, keep watching guys. Hope there's some help to you, and yeah, I'll catch you on the next video when it's a bit more sunnier.